I haven't done a video in a while, so I came across this today that's making the news. UFC Cody Durden post fight. Apparently, he was fighting some Asian guy, some Chinese guy, and in his post fight interview, he won the fight. In his post fight interview, he says, send him back to China or whatever. Here's the thing that I have with these white dudes or white people who consider themselves to be non-PC, and they'll do this non-PC stuff on people that they can get away with, like take cheap shots, racist cheap shots against Asians, against Latinos, against gays, trans, whatever. But here's the thing. This white dude would never say send him back to Africa if he did that to a black, if he beat a black opponent. He would not say send him back to Africa or send him back to the hood. Okay, it's just cowardice. I've always called this out as selective racism, all right? These people who know where the boundaries are, I mean, they won't touch certain groups of people, but then when it comes to other groups, they'll change the levels and then they'll go after them. It's like being a bully in the yard where who you don't mess with, because you get repercussions from it, versus who you can mess with. So you go and you mess with those that you can get away with messing. You're essentially a bully. You're not a non-PC kind of guy, all right? These idiots been doing this for the last 20, 25 years, all right? And it's not just this guy, all right? It's Dave Chappelle. It's Sarah Silverman. It's Jerry Seinfeld. It's so many entertainers, so many people so many celebrities, directors even, during the last 25 years, when they could get away with this. I would say from about 1995 to 2017. I marked 2017 because it's changed up as a result of social media, as a result of SJWs, as a result of cancel culture, and I thank God every day. I've said that I thank God every day for social media, for cancel culture, for SJWs, because it puts these kinds of people in their place. It puts these kind of people in their place. All right? Because for the last 25 years, right, they know that they can't go after the blacks. They know they can't go after the Jews. For the most part, they know they can't go after the blacks. They can't go after the Jews. They can't say anything negative about the blacks. They can't say anything negative about the Jews. They can't, go after these groups because they know that there's repercussions from it. So they'll pat themselves on the back and go after everybody else that they think they can get away with. All right, which is cowardly, which is insanely cowardly. All right, and this is not just about this guy. It's about Dave Chappelle. I've put up so many videos on Dave Chappelle. I've put up so many videos on the guy who does Borat, which is a racist. Borat is pretty much a racist, movie. All movies. It's racist. It's anti-Muslim. Look at it the way it's supposed to be looked at. If Borat was a Jewish character and he did all this, it'd be considered anti-Semitic. All right. So basically, these cowards like Cody Durden thinks that, I'm going against, PC culture when I'm criticizing or saying something that's non-PC against certain groups, but then when it comes to other groups, that when you know that you cannot get away with it, you know that if he had said send him back to Africa or send him back to the hood, he knows he's gonna get it. All right, he's gonna get it from. He knows that he'll probably get fired. He knows that he'll probably get, ostracized. He knows that he'll get canceled. But with stuff like this, I mean, it's gotten better. We are living in the times of cancel culture. We are living in the times of SJWs. We are living in the times of social media where people like this dude, this chimpanzee, can't get away with stuff like this. All right? You're not being brave when you go after groups that you can get away with. You're not being brave. All right? I don't understand why these people can't get it through their heads that they've been cowardly for the last 20, 25 years. You're not being brave when you go after people that you can get away with where there's no consequences. It's like kicking a kitten or a cat or whatever. You're not going to go after the pit bull, but you're going around kicking, kittens, cats, or whatever. Or maybe you can't go after certain groups, but you go after these other, groups that you can get away with. It's not brave, man. It's cowardly. And by the way, I hope that this guy gets canceled out. I hope that, this dude's from China. I hope the Chinese go after this dude. I mean, I know that they're Asians, unfortunately with the population statistics, there's not as many Asians in this country as there are, blacks, Latinos, etc., etc. That's one of the bigger problems. That's one of the probably biggest problems with Asians and getting, people canceled out for doing stuff like this. But it's gotten better. There's more Asian representation. There's more Latino representation. There's more gays and trans representation. And I am so glad that there's more female representation. All right. For all the negatives that you could say or you want to say about cancel culture, about, SJWs against, about social media, there is so much positive. There's so much positive that has come about that over the last 3 or 4 years for groups that have pretty much been sidelined groups that have pretty much been had racism committed to them by the media over the last 20, 25 years. They now have a voice. They now have people who speak out for them when situations like this piece of garbage chimpanzee Cody Durden does what he does. I've always railed against, the Jewish, white, black structure that has been permeating Hollywood and the media from 1995 to 2017. All right, those groups have pretty much essentially done nothing but promote their own image, and not only promote their own image, but they bashed the hell out of Asian Americans, Latino Americans, gays, female, fat shame, they fat shamed. They've done everything they could to ostracize everybody else who was not, white, black, or Jewish. Which I hope that karma comes about for these people. I hope it comes around for these groups. All these people who were in the media from 1995 to 2017 that pretty much committed all this racism, all this hate towards groups that they knew that they could get away with versus groups that they couldn't get away with. I hope karma comes and just destroys these people. I hope every single one of these people who have contributed to the hate and racism. I don't care if they were white, black, Asian. I don't care if they were Asian and they were self-hating, or Latino and they were self-hating, or gays who were self-hating, who actually contributed to the negativity that permeated from those 2 decades against Asian Americans, Latino Americans, Arab Americans, gay Americans, women Americans, or whatever. All right? This ain't 2005. I've always said, look, this ain't 2005. You can't get away with stuff like this, because you shouldn't get away with stuff like this. If you're not gonna go at the same level at blacks, at Jews, you know, if you're not gonna go at the same level at these other groups, and it's considered racist or anti-Semitic if you go at these other groups, then it should be considered anti-Asian. It should be considered anti-Latino. It should be considered anti-gay. It should be considered anti-female. It should be considered anti-fat. It should be considered anti-trans, anti-anything. All right? We are playing at the same levels right now. We are playing at the same levels. All right? This is not 2005, folks. Everybody now has a voice against you. So I'm going to raise that flag for everybody. I'm going to raise that flag for the SJWs. I'm going to raise that flag for social media. I'm going to raise that flag for cancel culture. I'm going to raise that flag for everybody who got left out, who got ostracized, who pretty much got culturally oppressed, socially and culturally oppressed for the last 2 decades. I'm going to raise that flag for them. I'm going to raise that flag for them, because everybody deserves a place at the table. Everybody deserves a piece of the pie. All right? There's no reason why, the blacks, the whites, and the Jews, took the majority of the pie for themselves over the last 20, 25 years, and pretty much just left crumbs for Asian Americans, Latino Americans, gay Americans, trans Americans, women's rights groups, etc., etc. It's time for everybody to push everybody up. It's not, all right, this whole selective racism that existed for the last 2 decades, F every one of these people, all right? I hope they get cancer. I hope they get AIDS. I hope they have, the most negative thing happen to them. Because, look, it's not entertainment. It's not just a joke. Okay, all of this has real ramifications in the real world. It affects how people see other people. It affects how people see other people. All right? And if you consider something that's bad for your group, you should consider that as bad for every other group, okay? Do not be a selective racist. Do not be a coward. Do not be a coward like this dude. All right? Enough is enough. This is 2021. It's not 2000. It's not 2005. Sorry, Cody Durden. You're a coward. All right? You are a piece of shit coward.